Board of Education is doubling down tonight on records detailing reported rapes and sexual assaults that have been kept secret for years.
The board is meeting behind closed doors right now to discuss what WBTV's chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner uncovered last week. Nick has the latest from the Government Center.
I first requested records detailing reports of rapes and sexual assaults on CMS campuses in June of 2021. At the time and in the years since, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools has said those records didn't exist. And today, a lawyer for CMS said those claims that the records didn't exist were true, even while also acknowledging that the records I obtained from a confidential source do exist. Those records detail reports of sexual violence at CMS schools from 2010 to 2015, and they paint a picture of how district leaders handled the reports. Notably, the number of recorded reports plummeted in that 5-year span. CMS General Counsel Andre Mays said under oath that the district didn't withhold any records in response to my June 2021 request. And in an email today, a lawyer for the district doubled down on that, saying the statement was, quote, true and accurate. CMS board members met behind closed doors this afternoon to discuss my report for the first time as a group. Now, it's important to note that that statement that those records didn't exist was made under oath by CMS General Counsel Andre Mays as part of a lawsuit that WBTV brought against Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, alleging the district violated the North Carolina Public Records Act by withholding that data. That lawsuit continues, and we continue pushing for your right to know about detailed safety records at your children's school. For now, reporting at the Government Center in Uptown, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.